Joining us now is Jamil Jaffer, founder and executive director of the National Security Institute at the Antonin Scalia Law School at George Mason University. Thanks for being back on the show. First question, do these leaks, in your opinion, pose a serious threat to security for the United States?
Well, Nick, obviously this is a large amount of information that's been leaked on a wide variety of topics, everything from our relationship with certain allies, what we think we can get other allies to do, our view of the Ukrainian forces and the conflict and their capabilities. Obviously, this information could be hugely damaging because it demonstrates very recent information about what we thought about active things that are going on today in the world. It gives an advantage to our adversaries in Russia as well as other nation states that are looking at this material. So, yes, I think there's significant damage to be had from these documents being leaked.
Sure. People say this is the biggest leak since the Edward Snowden leaks. But of course, as you mentioned, this is more timely. You mentioned our adversaries. I want to jump to that. But let's talk about the allies first. Why do we spy on our allies? Allies like South Korea, for example.
Well, you know, it's not uncommon for any nation to spy on their allies. We often want to know what the other nation is thinking, get a sense for what their leadership is thinking when we're negotiating with them or the like. There's very few countries that we have agreements with not to spy on. In fact, to be candid with you, South Korea is one of the most aggressive collectors against us as well. So this is not surprising to them that we'd be spying on them. They spy on us pretty aggressively as well.
Okay, so people more or less kind of already know that that's going on, at least in that world, maybe not the everyday person, but our allies, they do know that that is happening. Another revelation from this that I found particularly interesting, maybe you will too, is Egypt. Again, one of our biggest allies in North Africa, perhaps our biggest ally in North Africa, certainly one of our biggest allies in the Middle East, was thinking about sending 40,000 rockets to Russia. And we give aid to Egypt, but they're looking to arm the Russians. What's your opinion on that?
Well, if that's accurate, you know, these are new reports. We haven't seen the documents on them. They just came out today. At least one newspaper appears to have these documents. But look, if that's true, it's obviously hugely problematic because we've been very supportive of the al-Sisi regime in Egypt since the coup that removed Mohammed Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood leader. But here's the thing, right? I mean, the Egyptians have a long history with the Soviets going back decades. And so it's obviously concerning if they were thinking about doing that. That would be a huge problem. And if that in fact is accurate, there's going to be a lot to be called account for there in the U.S.-Egypt relationship going forward.
So much, I mean, to look at so many different aspects. It's kind of given us this insight, this window that we wouldn't normally get, at least as everyday citizens. And I want to ask you, I mean, from what we talked about Egypt, from South Korea to other countries as well, what should we take from all of this? What is the biggest takeaway from these leaks so far? Because we could learn more in the coming days, but for now, what's the biggest takeaway, Jamil?
Well, I think a couple of big takeaways. One, we have very good intelligence collection on our allies and our adversaries, and we know a lot about what's going on in the world. So the reach of the U.S. intelligence community is vast and significant. At the same time, obviously, you know, our allies and our friends and partners don't always do what we want them to do, and that's something to know about too. And it's good for us to be aware of that. It's good for the American people to be aware of that. That you know, the people that are our allies today may not always act in our own interest, and that's partly why we collect on them.
Jamil Jaffer, as always, sir, thank you for coming on the show. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.